Thank you so much for tuning in today. You're listening to The Daily, and I'm your host, Amy Carlin. Over the summer, Utah County has had several nasty fires. The air has been terrible, and lots of people got sore throats or respiratory infections. Much worse than that, the fires in September threatened cities in southern Utah County, and over 6,000 people were evacuated from their homes. I live far enough from the fire that I wasn't evacuated, but it was still close enough to my home that it was on my mind a lot of the time. I know several people whose homes were threatened by the fire, and it was a frightening time for them. When I was a child, I remember hearing Mr. Fred Rogers share that his mother told him to look for the helpers whenever bad things happened. As the community rallied during the fires, I was just in awe of the sheer number of helpers that I saw. The Red Cross asked for donations, but within a few days, they announced that they had a waiting list of people wanting to provide shelter for others. They had to call a halt to all the donations because they received too many. And as of September 16th, none of the 6,000 evacuees were even staying at the Red Cross shelter because all of them were able to stay with family, friends, or other community members. Many businesses donated food, time, and space to evacuees, firefighters, and displaced animals. Volunteers repeatedly asked how they could help and where they could donate. I read about a wedding that was scheduled to take place in Woodland Hills, one of the evacuated cities. The bride wasn't able to gather any of their wedding supplies when they had to evacuate, except for her wedding dress. The community stepped up and provided a venue, catering, decorations, music, everything they needed in under 12 hours. And it was all donated free of charge. On top of that, a good friend of mine saw a dozen or so firefighters buying dinner at a food court, and she decided to pay for all their dinners. She told her daughters that it was a small way that they could say thank you for the firefighters' efforts to protect us and our homes. I was inspired by her generosity and by the generosity of the other members of my community. Let's all remember to look for the helpers when disaster strikes. And let's also remember that we are sometimes in a position to be those helpers. Thank you again for listening today. The Daily is brought to you by The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.